Have you ever wanted to play a metagame where there's only 9 fully evolved Pokemon? Have you ever wanted to play a metagame where the power level is so low that there's no Steel or Ghost types in the entire tier? Have you ever wanted to play a metagame that's basically just RBY7U but in Gen 3? Well then, ADV SU is a metagame for you. Now what is ADV SU? Well, take OU, then go 4 tiers below it till you get to ZU, which is ruled by Apom and Cast Form, then get rid of every Pokemon ranked B tier or higher, and you've got yourself ADV SU. The S stands for Sub-Zero, by the way. So, what's the best Pokemon in the tier? What's the perfect Gloomon? What's the Land or Asterion of the tier? Illumise. Yep, that one Firefly Pokemon that nobody remembers. Best Pokemon in the tier. The reason why Illumise is so good is because it's got Bolt Beam coverage, it's got great support moves, got reliable recovery, a lot of other things. Its main set is Thunderbolt, Thunder Wave, Ice Punch, and Moonlight, and Bolt Beam that hits everything for neutral damage, which is good. Thunder Wave paralyzes Pokemon that are just getting a bit too crazy, and Moonlight's reliable recovery, which is good. Some Illumise decided to ditch Thunder Wave and Moonlight for a substitute and Focus Punch solely for the purpose of making Clefairy mad, and some other moves that sometimes used on Illumise are Encore, Giga Drain, Baton Pass, and Seismic Toss, although those aren't as good. Illumise also has a good amount of defensive stats, so she can also do a bit of stalling if you're feeling really evil. Illumise is the best Gloomon of the tier, and without her, shit like Farfetch'd, Onix, and Bagon would be way scarier. I also won't be mentioning held items that much because the only held items that really matter are Leftovers, Choice Band, the 1.1 times boost items, Select-Berry, and Lumberry. Next up, remember how I said that this is basically just 7U but in Gen 3? Well, I wasn't lying, because the second best Pokemon in the tier is Meowth. Meowth is a fucking nuke, capable of denting into pretty much any non-rock type he pleases. Fake Out and Double Edge are a nasty combo, and his 2 other moves should be a combination of Hypnosis, which is very annoying, Taunt, which is Taunt, and Water Pulse, solely to deal with Larvitar and Onix. Meowth is a very scary Pokemon that's very hard to switch into, and you might be wondering, but Yoshi, kid, how is Meowth not banned? Well, he's about as bulky as a wet wipe. Meowth's distinct lack of defensive anything make it not only hard to switch into, but hard for it to switch into anything. Nonetheless, Meowth is one of the scariest Pokemon in the tier, just like he is in like every super low tier for some reason. Also, Meowth sometimes runs Silk Scarf. Good for him. It looks good on him. Next up, we have the legend himself, the duck with the leek, the sauerkraut guy, Farfetch'd. Everyone's favorite duck with a vegetable just so happens to be the best priority user and the best setup sweeper in the tier, with a combination of Quick Attack, Body Slam, Swords Dance, and Steel Wing. He's very scary. Farfetch'd was also blessed with the stick item, boosting his and only his crit rate because he deserves it. Some Farfetch'd also ditch Swords Dance for agility, and certain weird Farfetch'd run agility, endure, and flail, which can be unbeatable if we can set that up. Farfetch'd would be absolutely broken, but thankfully Onix completely stopped it in its tracks, and Illumise hits it super effectively with both of its moves, and its defensive stats aren't that great. And also before, Farfetch'd bribed Game Freak for that attack buff, and now only has a measly 62 attack. So measly. So much measles in that attack stat. Next up, we have a Pokemon that you've definitely heard me mention a couple times before, unless you weren't paying attention, and that's Onix. Onix has the single highest stat in the entire tier, with an insane defense stat of 160. Onix is the first Pokemon in the rankings that mostly uses Choice Band, normally running a set of Earthquake, Double Edge, Rock Slide, and Explosion. Onix is surprisingly the first Pokemon with an actual ability. Illumise, Meowth, and Farfetch'd have Oblivious, Pickup, and Inner Focus, all of which are very niche, but Onix has Rock Head, allowing its Double Edges to hit very hard. Onix also benefits from the fact that water and grass types kinda suck in the tier because of Illumise, and you've got yourself quite the scary snake. Onix also sometimes runs Endure plus Select-Berry to make its already good speed tier even better. Onix mostly benefits from being a normal resist, where 2 of the best Pokemon in the tier are normal types. Speaking of normal types, Clefairy is the 5th best Pokemon in the tier, and the best Pokemon that's mostly used for nefarious purposes. Yep, that's right, stall. She mostly runs a specialty defensive set of Thunder Wave, Calm Mind, Soft Boiled, and Ice Beam. This isn't just a very annoying set, but arguably one of the best counters to Illumise, except if the Illumise is running Focus Punch and Substitute, but then your Illumise is wasting precious move slots solely to counter Clefairy. Clefairy and Illumise make a mean defensive duo, and in my humble opinion, Clefairy can fuck off. Next up in 6th, we have the tier's best Dragon Dancer, Bagon. Bagon D's nuts. Bagon pretty much always runs a set of Dragon Dance, Double Edge, Brick Break, and Rock Slide. Bagon's Rock Head means that +1 boosted Double Edge is absolutely shatter opposing Pokemon without doing anything back to Bagon, and Brick Break and Rock Slide are good for getting rid of Clefairy and Illumise because they stink. Unfortunately, Illumice's Ice Punch, and if your Illumise is any defensive investment, it's living that Rock Slide and KOing back. Even more unfortunately, Onix. Brick Break doesn't KO, and Bagon's pretty frail, so it'll probably get dented quite a bit by its Earthquake. Coincidentally, the Pokemon right next to Bagon in terms of viability is also a Dragon Dancing first stage pseudo-legendary. Larvitars, the other main viable rock type in the tier, and what I said like 5 seconds ago was kind of misleading. It's too slow to consistently Dragon Dance, and it's mostly a bulky choice bander, with Earthquake, Rock Slide, and 2 other random moves that you feel like putting on. Unfortunately, he kinda lives in the shadow of Onix a bit, having the same niche but doing it ever so slightly worse. They're both good rock types though, and you should probably have one or the other on your team. Mankey's up next, and he's either a pretty good choice bander or a reversal sweeper. Reversal sweepers either instantly get shut down or completely murder your team. Other than that, he's a powerful bander with Cross Chop and Rock Slide conking the opponent's team pretty hard. Unfortunately, he and Meowth are currently in the hospital for brittle bone disease and died getting tapped on the shoulder too hard. Next up, we have the YouTuber Reverend, everyone's favorite bulky Calm Mind sweeper. It can wreak havoc on defensive teams, and Calm Mind's pretty good at making it not pee-pee its little pants upon Illumise being sent in. It also makes pretty good use of its ability Early Bird, so rest only lasts for 1 turn of sleep. Natu's on that Sigma male grind set. He only sleeps for 1 hour a day, so it can wake up, set up Calm Mind, sweep some noobs, and exclusively eat protein powder. Snubbull is the tier's best cleric, having Heal Bell, which is cool, and Roar, which is also pretty cool. Snubbull usually runs one of 2 sets, the first one being Choice Band, making use of its powerful returns off its good attack, and a more defensive set with Roar, Bulk Up, Taunt, Heal Bell, Thunder Wave, some of those moves. Snubbull's also one of 2 Pokemon in the tier with Intimidate. What a good boy. So talented. He deserves pets. Next up is Pineco, the only viable Pokemon that's pretty much exclusively a lead. Sets up spikes, then explodes. That's his purpose. Pineco and Cacnea are the only Pokemon with spikes, and Pineco is just better than Cacnea in almost every way. Pineco is a suicide lead, so if you love Pineco and don't want to see it die every game, sorry. Next up is Charmander, and he's also a Dragon Dancer, sometimes. He's also a mixed attacker too, not really sure what his deal is, I don't use him that much. He's very silly though, so we could probably win off of silly points alone. Next up is Luvdisc, and Luvdisc is very annoying. Luvdisc is the fastest mon in the tier, and unfortunately since Luvdisc has barely any good moves, its main moveset is Substitute, Toxic, Protect, and Surf. It also has a respectable special defense stat, so that makes it even more annoying if its targets like an Illumise or a Clefairy. All in all, I fucking hate Luvdisc. Ugly, stupid, dumb fish, hate it. Next up, we have a kinda noob trap Pokemon, Ladian. Mom, can I have Illumise? No, sweetie, we have Illumise at home. The Illumise at home. Sure, Ladian is a great special defense and speed, but why use Ladian when Illumise is right there with a better moveset and a better typing? It's just Ladian but better. Ladian's main uses are Baton Pass and being a second Illumise. Next up, we have a Pokemon that's surprisingly not just in the tier, but not that amazing in the tier. Croconaw is the only second evolution starter in the tier, and it's kind of a jack of all trades. All of its stats are just okay, but none of them really stand out. Croconaw's main use is a bulky Swords Dancer, but its physical moveset isn't great, so it could be a mixed attacker, but it's still just not great. Nummel's basically the equivalent of Porygon and RBOIOU for this tier. It doesn't really do that much outside of stopping Illumise in its tracks. It can tank Ice Punches and fire off Rock Slides or Flamethrowers. What's not to love? Well, what's not to love is the fact that its other stats are too bad to really do that much else. He's a very cute little guy, though, so I respect him. I respect the cute little guy. Electrike's next, and it's one of the only okay Pokemon with priority. Sure, there is Natu, but you're not using a physical attack on Natu. Yeah, the distinct lack of good priority users is why stuff like Reversal and Flail are actually kind of viable here. It also has Thunder Wave and Static, so that's cool. Next up is Kabuto, and it's the highest ranked weather abuser. Weather teams are very rare in this meta due to the lack of weather rocks, but Kabuto is a weather rock type. I am so funny. It also resists Water Pulse from Meowth and Steel Wing from Farfetch'd, so that makes it even better, and I think it could probably rise in viability. Now we're at the B tier, so we're just gonna do a lightning round. These Pokemon just barely scraped into the tier, so I'll just fly through them. Wailmer is really unexplored Bond, and it can be very powerful with Water Spout, Curse, and Self-Destruct, but so far it's underperformed. Carvanha and Beautifly are both mainly abusers of Slackberry plus Endure, but they both get shut down by priority. Carvanha has awful defense, and Beautifly has an awful typing, so it doesn't work in either of their favors. Poliwag is mostly a noob trap because most players see a fast Pokemon with Belly Drum and go, ooh, that's overpowered, but it's comically frail, so it can never set up Belly Drum. It's still fast though, so the silly Froggy can stay. He can stay. Gulpin and Slowpoke are both bulky stall dudes. Gulpin is utility, Slowpoke is paralysis, neither of reliable recovery. Ekans is Intimidate, and that's it. He and Snubble are the only Intimidators in the tier, and Ekans is okay coverage moves. Nuzleaf could be a potential Sun abuser with Chlorophyll, Swords Dance, Fake Out, and Explosion, but weather kinda sucks in this meta. Skiploom's a fast Subseeder that could throw out some Toxics, but has an awful typing. Machomp's basically Mankey, but with slightly better status moves and defensive stats, but bad speed and no reversal. Mareep's one of the best Heal Bell Pokemon, and also has Thunder Wave too. Unfortunately, it has barely anything else. Torchic has Swords Dance, Reversal, and Rock Slide, but again, not much else. It could potentially get better in the future, but for now, it's not great. And that's all the Pokemon B tier or higher. There's a lot more interesting Pokemon that didn't make the cut, but this video is already pretty fast-paced, so I don't want to overwhelm you with all the Pokemon that kinda suck. Here's the full viability rankings, courtesy of me, Uber Skitty, and Miss Angelic. You two are very cool. I guess if you really want to, you can make a tier below SU where the only fully evolved Pokemon are Unknown, Ditto, Parasect, and Spinda. If you have any questions about the Pokemon in B- or below, please ask me in the comment section and I'll hopefully answer. Also, join our Discord server if you want to play this metagame. It's on screen, up there, and in the comments too. Bye.